So, the topic of the day recently is, of course, people complaining about Rob, but also Peach mains, as they've always done, underrating their character. Cue me in the tier list video saying I just want to smack them. And of course, there's always the conversation, because they're both item-based combo characters, who is better? Of course, if you saw my last tier list, which is recently up, which I'll put in the corner up above, Peach is better. But the thing is, based on results, for a while, Rob is one of the best characters in the game, if not the best character in the game. Part of that is probably online results, but either way, of course, you have many top representatives that play Rob. Of course, the first one being Zachary, then you have Wadi, then you have Epic Gabriel, you have multiple other Robs in Japan, you have people counterpicking Rob, or you have mains like Zamba, and there's a ton of good Rob players, right? Like everywhere. Lucretio, of course, who's the inventor of a lot of the more advanced combos. There's a ton of people that play Rob, and even though there's a lot of Peach players, they don't generally see as much success, and Peach is definitely not a counterpick character because of how technical she is, because she has a high learning curve, right? So the thing is, you want to weigh maybe the peaks of Peach versus the consistency of Rob, and kind of try to make sense of who is better, because Peach, of course, has safer aerials because she has back air and nair, which are both relatively safe. She has a lot of low profiling, and she has crazy combos if she has turnip in hand, and of course she still gets 60 if she doesn't have turnip in hand with, back air, down tilt, nair, nair, grab, down throw, back air. However, of course, Rob has a ton of ways to steal stocks with nair side B, Z-drop nair stuff. Down tilt is an incredible move. You have down throw into up tilt, up air at 90 to 130 depending on how your opponent mashes, even though realistically you shouldn't be getting down throw up tilted until 150, but that's just me saying that. So it's always an interesting question of kind of consistency versus peak, right? Because it's peak Peach. Peak Peach is broken. She has a ton of crazy punishes. She has footstool stuff. She has drag down up air stuff. She has really good edge guarding, but also Rob has down air and side B, which are really good for edge guarding. He has a more solid can run away game. One thing that I feel like is a point in Peach's favor is the fact that if you hit Peach out of trying to pull turnip, she'll still pull the turnip. And I know it seems like a weird comparison, right? Peach versus Rob, but it's just something that people are talking about on Twitter, so why not chime in? Content, baby. And that I think that Peach being difficult is fair. And one of the reasons I think Snake is not necessarily top 5 or top 7 is because he's really, really difficult in tournament play, because he consistently has to outplay his opponent, he consistently has to have his traps, and Peach has that at some level, because if you are missing, 1 or 2 floats, a stock that you're meaning to get, those are your punishes, those are your openings, and Peach honestly can't find a lot of openings against the majority of good characters in this game without kind of outplaying them, or getting close enough to spam their shield, which isn't likely because a lot of characters have really good out of shield options, or better movement, or are faster than her, or have some way to fight that. So I think it is a valid complaint for the Peach players being like, yeah, it's so hard to get in, whereas Rob, he can full hop and do landing arrows that are a little bit better, because Peach kind of has to use float, and that's it. Granted, float's broken, it gives her the best empty hop in the game, because you do float, unfloat, grab, which is crazy, right? That's insane, and it's a mix-up that is really, really potent. But, if you kind of play Peach like you would play against Game & Watch, where you just kind of stay out of her mid-range, she kind of struggles. Whereas Rob, of course, can run backwards and throw gyro, or laser, or down tilt, because that move is broken, and it's automatically a better mid-range than most characters have. The more I talk about it, the more I'm like, fuck, Rob's broken. One thing, of course, the thing for both of them, honestly, so this isn't a point in either way, is the fact that both of them, might have losing matchups. Everyone complains that Rob, all the Rob players are Rob has 8 -2s because you have Young Link and Mario and Pikachu and Pichu and what are the other characters in this game? Yoshi and Samus, although people kind of say those are even. Plenty of characters do really well versus Rob, Me Brawler even. A ton of characters. Mario, I don't know if I said him, Falco, there's a lot. But it's hard to say you have a ton of 65-35s out of your favor if then you can just kill people at 10 or 30 or 50 or get a lot of openings. And the thing is, Rob, it's not like Rob has to struggle to get those openings. He will kind of get them unless you play absolutely perfectly, but playing absolutely perfectly versus Rob is constantly looking out for gyro and laser and respecting down tilt and not getting hit ever, whereas Peach, it's hey, kind of run away from her a little bit, so I don't know. But one thing that I feel like is definitely a point in Peach's favor, and honestly the thing that makes me think Peach is better than Rob, is Peach's defense is a lot better. Her disadvantage state is much, much better than Rob's. Because of course, even though Rob does have Nair, and that can be kind of difficult to deal with. It is slow and parryable, whereas Peach has float to reposition and make people whiff. She has a much better, not necessarily better, but a less exploitable recovery, and it's a lot harder to mess with her in general. Like, the neutral, probably Rob's favor. The punish game, honestly, even or slightly Rob's favor. But in this game, defense is so important because there's so many characters that don't necessarily kill you off a hit, but can advantage you to death. And Rob is definitely a victim of that, hence why a lot of the people think that Rob struggles. He's big, he doesn't really have super good out-of-shield options. I mean, he has good out-of-shield options, but not like super good out-of-shield options. Whereas Peach has float, she has way better defensive normals, like back air, like float away back air, float away forward air. She of course just has float in general. She doesn't really have super good out-of-shield options either, technically, because float and air and float bear are kind of slow, but they're huge. And then, of course, those are safe on shield as opposed to like Rob's forward air out of shield, which isn't safe. But her defense is really important. She's able to weave in and out. She has a really good landing aerial in terms of down air, which I don't know. It's so annoying that it's so good, but it is very good for landing. And so you're honestly going to have to beat Peach so many times in neutral in order to kill her, whereas sometimes you only have to beat Rob 3 times in neutral. Granted, same on his side, but it is a little bit easier to get the hit on Rob and feel confident that you're gonna kill him or get 70 or get 90, whereas you get a hit against Peach and you're like, man, I really hope this true combos, and then I'm gonna hope I ledge trap her, and that's about it. Defense is so important in this game. Not being able to get hit is so important, hence why Pikachu, Joker, Zero Suit, Wario are all really good characters, hence why characters that can abuse people's, have even cheating defense, like Shulk, really good. Right, because he doesn't have the same things. If you can kind of disrupt how someone wants to play by either not getting hit or by getting out of combos, having good disadvantage states, like that can be really, really important at top level, especially in tournament, because you're not going to be scared of getting hit at 30. Whereas if I'm a Rob player and I'm in tournament and I got hit at 30 on my last stock, I might freak out and just lose. Because I'm going to try to spam nair, I'm going to spam fastball air dodge, whereas Peach doesn't really have to worry about that. Of course, Peach is a little floatier, so if you're catching like the air dodge timings and stuff, you have like a big aerial that you can swing, that's fine, and that's good. But I don't know, I feel like Peach's defense is super, super good, and I feel like it's underrated. People just don't, people underrate defense in general in this game, unless it's something like absurd, like Game & Watch Up B, or like speed. But Peach's defense is really good. It's really hard to, like, if you're losing against Peach, it's really hard to get into her zone because of, like, float bear and stuff. Like, I feel like if a Rob is winning, yeah, it can be annoying to kind of deal with them, but they're still, like, relatively not super tricky on the ground, and you can kind of, again, get those one hits and, like, really extend far. Whereas Peach, if Peach is winning, float bear is impossible to deal with in approaches. Like, if you're not a character that can regain a lead from far away, like, let's say Samus or something like that type of zone, or Min Min, something like that, you're gonna have a really hard time getting a lead back versus Peach. And then, of course, if you're ever wrong and she, like, out of shield turnips you, you might just die or take 60 or some, ridiculous stuff. I also feel like Robs in general are more willing to optimize their character, like the good ones, because you have Zachary doing pretty optimal combos. Of course, there's so much for Rob, and there's people discovering it. Again, mostly like Lucretio, who discovers a ton of cool combos. They're more willing to do the broken stuff. Whereas Peach players are just like, oh, I don't want to learn these combos. They're hard because I have to float 17 times. It's just like, what? Like, you might as well just learn the combo. So I feel like that is a point for Rob, but that's not so much Rob the character, more so Rob the player base. So I don't know. I do think Peach is better. Of course, Rob is, in my opinion, rising up. Like, in my head, he's rising up slowly over time. Because he's just very consistent and the results do not lie, but I don't really care necessarily about results because otherwise number 1 is Joker, number 2 is whoever Tweak plays, number 3 is Rob because that's who Zachary plays and also Joker. It's kind of hard to justify that just by results because otherwise it's just who are the best players in the world and who are their characters and like that's it. But I mean, if you need to know, if you're going to learn one matchup, I would recommend learning the Rob matchup because there definitely are more of them. And yeah, what do you think about this type of video? I would love to know because this is just kind of more of a ranty video. I don't know if that is super wanted on this channel right now, but I would appreciate any and all feedback, of course. Social media, Panda and Partner stuff is down below. Subscribe to the channel and I'll see you all next time. Peace. I don't know why peace became my fucking outro, but whatever.
Pikachu, busted.